Hello everybody, welcome back to another Business Blaze episode. This one, I'm not sure how hard I clickbaited it, because I've been thinking of putting in the thumbnail on this one. Elon Musk was in the Mafia, the PayPal Mafia, and well, if you clicked on it and now you're disappointed, you can click off. Thanks for watching. Seriously though, this is Business Blaze. I am Simon. Welcome to my channel. You can buy my merch. I am wearing a t-shirt with my face on it. It's slightly chilly in here today, so I'm gonna do up my jacket. It also makes me look more professional, and even more like I'm having a midlife crisis. Let's crack on. Danny writes these scripts, I read them. That's what's going on this channel. You probably know that by now. Deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, a notorious group of ruthless criminals ruled over the local community with a climate of fear. The Mafia syndicate raked in dirty dollars through protection rackets, loan sharking, drug trafficking, illegal gambling, and fraud. Fortunately, they were all just naughty rabbits and none of them had much impact on the human world. This is not their story. The PayPal Mafia is in an entirely different kettle of digital carrots. Ba-da-bum-bum. For starters, they're not an illegal organization, which kind of makes a mockery of the name. I'll come back to that shortly. I can't wait, Danny. Essentially a group of around 220 former founders, executives, and employees of PayPal who chose to walk away from one of the biggest success stories in business only to strike gold again with a jaw-droppingly long list of world-conquering technological companies. And this is pretty amazing. Like, I asked Danny to write this up because I'm vaguely familiar with this, but it is also like, yeah, they were the early employees of PayPal, a super, competitive company that I'm sure employed the best of the best. It's not super surprising that they went on to have other successes. It'd be like, oh no, I was employee 4 at Facebook and now I work at McDonald's. That's not the way things usually work out. It is for these guys, isn't it? More often than not, slightly grumpy breakups at the peak of global triumph inevitably become a downhill ride. When the Beatles split up at the zenith of their creative prowess, which is a word I like, nobody expected any members of the band to repeat the same levels of success or acclaim they had collectively enjoyed. Well, yeah, because aren't they regarded as like the greatest band of all time? I don't think they are, but people think they are. But I'm not some sort of Beatles-hating hipster. The Beatles are relatively good. Which is a good job, because they didn't. I mean, some of them did alright. I don't think Paul McCartney was ever short of a few quid. In fact, I think he's a billionaire, which is crazy. You're a musician. It's pretty great. But when John Lennon ends up recording double-sided albums of him largely wailing and screaming with his wife, you just feel the days of Sgt. Pepper are long gone. Yes, you do. Someone left, I absolutely ripped into Yoko Ono so hard on a previous video, and someone left a comment being like, Simon, she survived like an internment camp during the war and all of this stuff. And so this is her expressing how hard it's been. And I'm like, yeah, fine, but she can't sing. I mean, Viktor Frankl didn't come out of the Second World War and was like, I'm gonna become a recording artist. No, he wrote a book. Don't even write a book, Yoko, because I have just a strong feeling that it's gonna suck.
Come, let's come together and cherry blossoms in full bloom. It's very simple, but...
When a TV soap star enjoys a lengthy spell of being one of the most famous faces in the country, but then decides to move on to fresh projects, you just know they're either going to end up playing the role of Buttons in Christmas pantomime or flogging pension plans in TV commercials. The extraordinary thing about the members of the PayPal... I once met a guy who was like in a TV show once, but like a soap opera. And then he was doing commercials, and he seemed a bit sad about it. I shouldn't laugh. I'll be doing TV. I won't even be able to do TV commercials in like 5 years. I'll just be flipping burgers. The extraordinary thing about the members of the PayPal Mafia is that they all quit their jobs at the multi-billion-dollar venture that revolutionized online payments in the 21st century, but then went on to achieve even bigger success in the years to follow. Yelp, Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn, even YouTube. Really? All of these companies were founded or co-founded by members of the PayPal Mafia. And that's not to mention all of the other companies that were helped along by substantial investments from the mob, including Pinterest, Zynga, Airbnb, and Facebook. And we should just say, it wasn't the mob, it was the PayPal Mafia. I'm not accusing Facebook of accepting mob financing to help grow. Also, what the hell's Zynga? So, how did such a relatively small, close-knit group of friends and self-described misfits, most of whom attended either Stanford University or the University of Illinois, end up becoming the kingpins of Silicon Valley? Probably by being really smart, going to great universities, working at a hugely successful company, making millions of dollars, and then using that intelligence, education, and money to go on and connections to found other successful companies. I'm not judging, I think it's great, but it's not exactly rocket science, is it? First of all, let's quickly address the unusual name for the gang. It's widely reported that the name was coined by Fortune magazine in 2007 when it ran a lead feature on the PayPal Mafia and dressed 13 of the most prominent members in mobster gear on the front cover. That's pretty cool. It looks like this. I've seen it before. In fact, and thank you, Sam, I said in a video the other day, like, I'll throw it up here. And I definitely meant, like, Sam will throw it up here. So, Sam, make it so.
I did.
In fact, the name had already been in use for a little while before then, but the Fortune cover suddenly took the idea into the mainstream. The point behind the name is that members of the gang now enjoy an almost sinister grip on the startup ecosystem. Most of the members of the mob seem surprisingly happy with a name that suggests criminal underworld activity rather than legitimate business. Well, yeah, of course they do. Because it's like, you're in legitimate business, you're doing something absolutely legitimate and completely legal, but you have so much power that they're relating you to the Mafia, who normally acquire their power by murdering people and doing crimes. Yeah, it's like saying you're a total badass and you're not breaking the law. I'd embrace that. If someone was like, YouTube Mafia, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that fits. One day. Stay tuned. Then again, I suppose it sounds kind of cool and dangerous and edgy. Danny and I are on the same page. You'd rather be posing for a photo shoot themed on the Mafia than one based on computer geeks. Yes, you would. To be honest, the Fortune photograph often comes across as a weird hybrid of the two, and it looks as if not everyone in the photo received the same memo. Harsh but true. Still, it was their moment of fame. Let's not dwell too heavily on the fact that some of them just looked a little bit silly. I feel like anyone who tries to dress like a mobster looks silly because you're either wearing like a white suit with a black shirt and a white tie, or you're wearing a trilby. No one should be wearing trilbies, just mobster, not a mobster. No one should be wearing a trilby. Still, it was their moment of fame. Let's not dwell too heavily on the fact that some of them looked a bit silly. We already said that. The success of the PayPal Mafia is largely rooted in the story of another entirely different company, which originally had no links whatsoever to the PayPal mob, eBay. I think eBay bought PayPal, right? Or did PayPal buy eBay? Fairly sure it was eBay buying PayPal. We're gonna find out. Back in the early days of eBay, you couldn't just send an instant online payment right after you had bought something because no person-to-person online payment system existed. Like, PayPal sucks. Like, I hate PayPal with a deep passion because the fees are insane, it's really hard to use, it's just a piece of shit. Please don't sue me, PayPal. You know you're crap. Like, we're not tricking anyone. You've just got massive market dominance because you've been around so long. These were just everyday people exchanging payments with each other rather than merchants with the capacity to accept credit card payments. By and large, people were still just mailing checks to each other, which naturally slowed down the item delivery by about a week. If only someone could come up with a better system. As it happens, 3 different crowds of people were separately working on projects which could potentially prove to be the solution. German-born American entrepreneur Peter Thiel is often described as the Don of the PayPal Mafia. He's the guy that would have played out Marlon Brando in the movie adaptation. Peter Thiel is also a ridiculous badass. Like, he absolutely destroyed, who was it? Was it Gorka Media? Who I think was it the story? I must read up on this. We could do a whole video about this. I think Gorka Media outed him as gay, and then he came back years later and absolutely destroyed Gorka Media through Hulk Hogan's sex tape, maybe? It doesn't matter, but the whole thing to take away from this story is that Peter Thiel is a scary, dangerous, awesome dude. Incidentally, let's spare a thought for Marlon Brando, who actually won an Oscar for shoving cotton wool in his mouth for the Godfather film, which I suspect Simon hasn't seen. I have not. I think I mentioned that in a video, like, last week, maybe. Brando rejected the Oscar, though. He did? Why? Unlike Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro's character of Don Vito Corleone, I'm gonna get heat for that, smash the dislike button. In the first 2 installments of The Godfather, Peter Thiel spent his younger years playing Dungeons and Dragons and reading the Lord of the Rings books 10 times. I'm a Tolkien fan myself. Danny is. I certainly am not. But 10 times in one childhood seems a little bit over the top, doesn't it just? After graduating from Stanford Law School, Peter hooked up with Ukrainian-born American software engineer Max Levchin, a graduate from the University of Illinois. Max is now usually labeled as the consigliere of the PayPal Mafia. I think I'm saying that right, not sure. I don't really like gangster movies, so I haven't seen The Godfather. I've seen Goodfellas, it was okay. I've seen a couple of others, but I'm not really into it. He's the consigliere of the PayPal Mafia, the advisor to the leader, and general dispute resolver, a role played by Robert Duvall in the Godfather movies. Fascinating. Along with 4 other graduates from either Stanford or Illinois, a new team founded the company Confinity in 1998, which originally focused on creating security software for the Palm Pilot and other personal digital assistant devices. I never knew anyone with a Palm Pilot, although they were briefly all the rage in the late 1990s apparently. Pretty sure my dad had a Palm Pilot, business people had Palm Pilots. You might remember that Apple had a go at revolutionizing handheld tech with their ill-fated Apple Newton in 1993, which is a bit of a meme on this channel. In the days long before smartphones and tablets, the problem with Apple's device is that it was overpriced and largely rubbish, quickly developing into one of Apple's most notorious failures. We actually did a video all about Apple's most notorious failures. It is linked to below, or maybe it's just a rickroll. In 2020, you're welcome. American company Palm later took the best features from the Apple Newton, such as the device's ability to recognize writing that you would quickly scribble on with an external stylus. They made it all work properly, sort of, and then they sold the Palm Pilots at a fraction of the cost of the high-flying business workers and cool kids. Yeah, I mean, all the cool kids at my school had Palm Pilots. Those legends. The consigliere, Max Levchin, was instrumental in developing a system in which the Palm Pilot users could instantly beam payments to each other via the infrared ports on their snazzy devices. That is so ahead of its time and so extremely cool. I mean, now, it's like, of course, I could send anyone money fairly instantly within moments. But this was 90s, and that is cool. But after realizing that users didn't necessarily even need a Palm Pilot, as the new software could be synced to email accounts and web browsers, this project rapidly developed into the PayPal service, which could pretty much be used by anyone with an internet connection. I love this story. The real game changer was when designer Chad Hurley came up with a few simple but really transformative lines of code which allowed PayPal members to create and share a unique link where they could receive payments from buyers. The concept quickly gained traction on eBay. Now, for the first time, sellers didn't necessarily have to hang around waiting for a check to arrive. They could instead just paste their link to the product listing and let potential buyers know that they accept instant online payments for speedier delivery. Another key factor of PayPal's rapid growth was the fact that they were literally giving away money in order to attract new members. This is talked about heavily in a great book by, who wrote Elon Musk's biography? Ashley Vance. Great book, they talk all about this, it's really fun. During these early years, new signups automatically received a $10 credit in their new PayPal account, whilst you could also earn an additional $10 for every single referral that you generated. So, assuming you had friends, you could potentially earn quite a bit of money here for just recommending someone a better and faster way to pay for crap on eBay. Confinity was clearly going places with PayPal. But they had competition. Elon Musk. Oh. I really thought it was Elon Musk who was giving away the money at the beginning. I'm pretty sure it was $10. Anyway, Elon Musk is perhaps the most well-known member of the PayPal Mafia in his own right, but is one of the few members to distance himself from membership of the mob because of the implications of the term. I really feel like Elon Musk is not someone who has a lot of caring about what people think of him, which makes him seem very cool. He declined to appear with the other key players on the cover of Fortune magazine, and he doesn't usually get a title such as Don or Consigliere. But I'll give him one anyway. If you're familiar with either the Beach Boys or Take That, you should understand what I mean when I describe him as either the Brian Wilson or the Robbie Williams of the PayPal Mafia. I get both of these references. He's a massively successful and talented member of the group who doesn't have much to do with the original members anymore. A citizen of South Africa, Canada, and the United States. Wow. It's even cooler that Elon Musk has 3 passports. One of the coolest things about young Elon Musk's life is at the age of just 12 years old, he wrote a PC game in BASIC called Blaster, for which he received $500 when the code was published in PC and Office Technology magazine. You can now play a browser-based version of this game if you fancy it, although in the interests of research, I've done this for you so you don't have to. Danny is making the sacrifice for Business Blaze. Let him know how much you appreciate him in the comments below. You guys always do anyway, so obviously that's great. It's painfully simplistic rubbish, but I'll give Elon some credit, he was only 12. Harsh. Musk also spent time at Stanford, but in his case, he only lasted 2 days before dropping out of his studies to pursue business. He probably made the right decision. In 1999, at the age of 27, he and his brother sold their first web software company to Compaq for $340 million. That is epic. Just a month later, Elon Musk used the money to launch X.com. This was initially a much more ambitious project than Thiel and Levchin's small fry tinkering with the Palm Pilot software. X.com was a fully licensed online bank. Also, it is just X, like the letter X.com, which is super cool. However, one of the bank's new services was quickly to evolve into its core focus. In a similar fashion to PayPal, X.com offered person-to-person online payments and again attracted the interest of eBay traders. X.com even borrowed some of Confinity's business model ideas, including the concept of giving away free money to new signups and referrals. I thought so. In fact, X.com went one better by offering $20 for new signups as well as $10 for referral. That's pretty smart. Assuming you got the money to burn, which, guess what, Elon? You sold your company for $350 million. You do! While all of this was going on, eBay was determined to push on with its own version of a person-to-person online payment system. The company acquired the money transfer system BillPoint.com, don't know that one, and quickly got to work on pushing their own system to the very front of the eBay platform. As well as offering free listings to BillPoint users, eBay also made it easy for sellers to prominently display the BillPoint logo on their listings, while effectively squeezing out PayPal and X.com by placing stricter limits on the logo sizes that they could display on the site. Yeah, pretty clever. It's like if you're the giant retail platform and you've got a way to process payments, you're going to be like, as soon as, I don't know why they just didn't say, we just accept BillPoint. So now we had a three-way fight for supremacy in the world of person-to-person online payment systems, and it's clear eBay was in the driving seat here. Indeed, so why isn't BillPoint the thing that everyone now hates? They naturally had every right to promote their own online payment system on their own website. Despite this, PayPal was still proving to be the most popular choice by far. However, the parent company, Confinity, was rapidly running out of cash due in part to the very generous rewards for new signups and referrals. At one point, it's estimated that Confinity was giving away over $100,000 a day just in rewards. Well, okay, great. It's also pretty good, insane business growth. In contrast, the new online bank X.com still had plenty of money to burn, largely because of Elon Musk's previous business triumphs. God, that's got to be a risk, right? Well, this is why Elon Musk is probably one day going to be the richest man in the world, because he's like, yeah, I'm so rich that I have more money than I could ever spend, but I'm going to spend it all on doing a new business. And now he's Elon Musk. But they were still struggling to compete with the popularity of PayPal. So the two opposing mob members decided to join forces. In March 2000, Confinity and X.com took the decision to merge under one new entity, which would initially keep the name X.com, but would also quickly drop the other online banking services to focus almost entirely on its PayPal product. The early days of the new company were marked by constant jostling and feuding over the top positions. This is super well talked about in that Elon Musk book. Really good stuff. After some early scuffles, Elon Musk became CEO, Peter Thiel was the chairman, Max Levchin became the chief technical officer, and several other of the top-tier personnel from the former company Confinity were given vice presidential positions. But nothing was to remain particularly stable for very long. Elon Musk was keen to phase out the PayPal name and bring everything together under the X.com brand. Obviously, that didn't work out, but I still think X.com is way cooler than PayPal. It's like, yeah, we're your pals and we're gonna help you pay. And we're gonna take like a massive chunk of your money and give you terrible exchange rates. I know X.com would do this as well, but at least then it would be called X.com and no one would think that they were their pal. Maybe he thought that X.com was the cooler name, or maybe it had something to do with the fact that it paid $1 million for the domain name. Pretty cool though. Either way, the former staff of Confinity didn't share his enthusiasm. Many of them preferred the original sender-friendly sound of PayPal, while others thought that X.com sounded a bit too much like a porn site. Does it though? However, Elon Musk dismissed their concerns and gave the order for the PayPal name to be dropped completely before heading off on a honeymoon vacation in Sydney, Australia, but the order was never carried out. Wasn't he the CEO? Yeah, but the other guy was chairman. Business is complicated. Instead, a disgruntled Max Levchin led a revolt against Elon Musk and persuaded the board to remove Musk from his position as CEO and replacing him with Peter Thiel, who was the chairman. Although Musk frantically tried to resolve the situation by phone, he eventually conceded defeat, and the X.com company was rebranded as PayPal in 2001. Elon Musk later lamented, "That's the problem with vacations." It's like, dude, yeah, you should have your staff members tighter leash or more whipped. He didn't seem to have much luck with vacation. After rescheduling his honeymoon for later in the year, so he went back from his honeymoon to deal with this. His poor wife. He ended up catching malaria. Oh! He did get another chance for a vacation about 12 years later, so fingers crossed that one worked out. Hold that thought. Although Musk was no longer CEO, he remained on the board and still had a vested interest in the future success of PayPal, as he was still a major shareholder. Under the guidance of original Confinity co-founder Peter Thiel, the company went from strength to strength. Despite eBay's continued efforts to squeeze out PayPal, the latter was winning the battle. Almost 3/4 of eBay's customer base were now happily using PayPal, and BillPoint was losing eBay about $10 to $15 million every year. By 2002, PayPal had become a public company, raising $63 million in the process, and it was very shortly afterwards that the company decided the time was ripe to seek a potential buyer. Peter Thiel, along with Reid Hoffman, another member of the mob, another Stanford graduate, and then executive vice president of PayPal, approached Google and Yahoo with a minimum expectation of $600 million for the company. That's a lot of money, although it does, this was 2001 or whatever, it's nearly 20 years later. But it's 15 years later? Instagram for $1 billion when it was a small company, WhatsApp for $19 billion. That's pretty crazy. Mind-blowing. Not suicidal. As someone was like, Simon, you doing that head shoot thing reminds me of suicide. And I'm like, okay. So Google and Yahoo declined, feeling that PayPal was almost certainly reliant on eBay, over which they would have no control. eBay themselves came sniffing around with an initial offer of $400 million. Allegedly, an eBay representative told PayPal that, "We're going to make this offer once and then crush you. You should really take this offer." That is badass.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
It turns out that this was just tough talk though. Reid Hoffman was convinced that eBay was prepared to pay more, and he was right. The PayPal Mafia held out for $1.5 billion, and this was exactly what they got when eBay acquired PayPal in July 2002. So it all worked out. That may sound like a good deal for the PayPal Mafia, but considering that PayPal is worth over $100 billion today, it turned out to be a pretty good deal for eBay too. How can PayPal be worth so much but be so bad? $0.1 trillion. Mad. Although the original members of PayPal stayed on board after the new acquisition, it wasn't long before they walked away from their new eBay masters. This shouldn't come as too much of a surprise, partly because of their track record of executive musical chairs, fallouts, oustings, and coups. Yeah, I'd be like, now we're all super rich, we're probably contractually obliged to do like a year or two in management. I'd be like, I could not imagine a time where I'd give less of a unless they had some sort of earn-out on there, but I'd be like, I'd be so gone. Yeah, what are you working on today, Chief Executive? Well, I'm really working on the exact positioning of my desk and what sort of coffee I like. The freewheeling nature of the PayPal mob was always going to clash with the more conservative approach of the eBay team. Original Mafia member Keith Rabois, maybe Rabois, sounds French, recalls a time when he and fellow gang member David Sachs were invited to an integration meeting with eBay in which they were expected to sit through a 3-hour PowerPoint presentation with accompanying narration. It sounds pretty bad. None of the PayPal Mafia had ever had a 3-hour meeting in their lives. It's like, yeah, you go from like a cool startup company and then they're like, welcome to business. When David Sachs began to impatiently flip ahead of some of the pages that had been dumped in his lap, he was greeted with gasps and looks of horror from the eBay team. Chill out, eBay. Upon leaving the meeting, Sachs turned to Keith Rabois and said, "If we stay here, you're going to have to build a whole PowerPoint team, because that's the only way to communicate with these people." Within the space of just a few short years, nearly all of the original PayPal Mafia had departed for ventures new. And while this may sound like a tragic exodus from triumph, it was almost certainly the right thing to do. The PayPal team had developed an innovative new service, but it was always eBay that owned the checkout line. The jigsaw pieces had fallen perfectly into place, and PayPal was now exactly where it belonged. PayPal Mafia had become rich, or in Elon Musk's case, even richer, from the eBay acquisition, and now it was time to move on. So that's exactly what they did. The Don, Peter Thiel, went on to become an early angel investor in a silly little platform called Facebook, and co-founded Planeteer Technologies and Founders Fund. He currently has a net worth of $2.5 billion. Well done, Peter. The consigliere Max Levchin went on to become an early investor and now the largest shareholder of Yelp and a founder of Slide.com, as well as creating one of the first commercial applications of capture human response tests. Those are really annoying though, Max. Brian Wilson of the group, or Robin Williams of the group, Elon Musk, went on to become a co-founder of Tesla, the Boring Company, and the rocket manufacturer SpaceX. I feel though that now Elon Musk is so famous, it'd be more like Brian Wilson was the Elon Musk of the Beach Boys, although he obviously came later. Anyway. He's Tesla, Boring Company, SpaceX. He now has a net worth of $44 billion and is currently working on a plan to reduce the risk of human extinction by establishing a colony on Mars. Absolute legend. Sadly, but I don't know if he's a real legend because he probably doesn't watch these videos all the way to the end. If you do, what's up, Elon? Sadly, there's been no word on the follow-up to his terrible game, Blaster. Between them, the remaining members of the mob have either found themselves heavily invested in dozens of massively successful digital ventures like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Reddit, Yammer, and YouTube. What's Yammer? So, you have the PayPal Mafia to blame for the rise of Simon Whistler. Incidentally, the crucial tagging and video sharing aspects of YouTube were coded by its co-founder Chad Hurley, the very same guy who came up with the game-changing link sharing code for PayPal just a few years earlier. It may still seem puzzling as to how such a small group of mutual acquaintances from the same two universities continued to maintain such a tight grip on Silicon Valley after this initial success. It could be just the case that Stanford and Illinois universities were putting something funny in the water, or they were just like, listen, you gotta be really smart to come to our university with a lot of other smart people where you'll connect with them and go on to start businesses together. Again, I don't think it's that complicated. But you have to remember the timing of the PayPal success. The dot-com bubble had just spectacularly burst and many investors had got their fingers burned. The members of the PayPal Mafia were amongst the very few people who hadn't abandoned Silicon Valley during its darkest hours. Isn't it Warren Buffett who says, be greedy when other people are full and full when other people are greedy, or something like that? It's basically like when things are going bad, or in the other phrase, like fortunes are made in recessions. It's good advice. Whereas most people had completely turned their backs on the idea of digital startups, the PayPal Mafia were the only credible investors able to pour their expertise and their newfound wealth from the eBay acquisition into promising new technological ventures. Years later, they're still reaping the rewards from being the small number of bright young sparks who kept the faith in Silicon Valley when everyone else appeared to have given up. Just please don't go starting a fight with this unruly mob. They might throw a mouse mat at you or something. Ba-da-bum-bum. Oh, I lost my script. Okay. Bonus vacation. You can't blame Elon Musk. This is an enormously long video. You can't blame Elon Musk for feeling a little cautious about taking vacations. As we've already mentioned, the original plans for his honeymoon were soured slightly by the fact that he was ousted from his role as CEO of X.com during his absence, while his second attempt ended up with him catching malaria and almost dying. Bloody hell. In fact, Elon Musk must be one of the most hardworking men on the planet. He regularly works over 100 hours a week. It's like, oh my god, I think I work long hours, but I don't clock 100. And can even be found taking quick naps on factory floors because he hasn't found the time to nip home and take a shower. It is believed that he's only taken a few weeks holiday over the best part of 15 years. The good news is that the founder of SpaceX finally decided to have a bash at taking another vacation in 2015, just days before the planned launch of the company's unmanned Falcon 9 rocket. The bad news is that while Musk was chilling out catching some rays, the rocket exploded minutes after launch. Musk blamed his absence for the disaster. He does hold himself to a high standard, but that's why he's Elon Musk. It's a shame the poor guy can't seem to get a break. He has some words of deep wisdom to impart on the matter. Don't ever take a vacation, Elon Musk warns. Vacations will kill you. Still, here's something that hopefully cheered him up a bit. All those years after losing the battle to replace the PayPal name with X.com, Elon Musk was finally given a chance to buy back his old X.com domain name from PayPal in 2017. The terms were undisclosed, but he's believed to have paid at least $6 million. A delighted Elon Musk. Someone's making some food somewhere and it smells super good. Now I'm hungry. Delighted Elon Musk claims that the name has sentimental value for him, although he doesn't appear to be doing much with it. Just made $6 million. You know you're rich where you're like, yeah, it's sentimental value, I'll pay $6 million. No big deal. The URL currently points to a single blank page with a tiny X in the top left-hand corner and has been doing nothing for nearly 3 years. I reckon this is the place where he's finally going to drop that long-awaited playing guide to Blaster. Oh, what a thrill. This was Business Blaze. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Smash that like button if you did. Smash that dislike button if you disliked something I said in this video, because I usually say something that's going to offend some people. Smash it hard. and I'll see you next time.